Okay, Brawlhalla just dropped a surprise announcement. Next week, May 14th, is a major patch, and in that major patch, it's not just an event, they're also having balance. This is a big shock because they just had a balance patch, but they're doing it. I was midway through script writing, I'm 11,000 words deep, but I saw this announcement, so I'll cover all of this for you all. So first up, Brawlhalla Fest is the event. That is not new, but they're doing it different this year. So it's the yearly celebration of Brawlhalla, but because they have a new Nyx graphic novel coming out, this whole thing apparently is going to be centered around Nyx. There's this new epic Nyx skin, as well as a bunch of free items they're saying for everyone to get. That sounds great. And this is also separate from the dev stream where they're going to announce a bunch of new features the day before as well that I'm also going to be covering. It never stops, does it? But the meat of what I want to get into today is the balance preview. So we can see right here the patch 9.07 balance preview. Here is everything that you can expect to see on May 14th. Now again, they just had a balance patch, so it's not going to be everything. This is really a Chakram hotfix, and it's no surprise because Chakram really dominated max mode the first LAN tournament this past weekend. Crazy stuff. I've actually never seen this in my entire history of playing the game and being involved in the esports timelines of everything, which means they're seeing people's feedback and implementing it immediately. I'm going to go through each of these moves, tell you exactly what is changing because these words can sometimes be a little bit complicated, and what you can expect for the weapon going forward. So first up, Chakram Fused Downlight. Increased total recover time on miss from 11 fixed 10 variable to 15 fixed 14 variable. If you've seen any of my balance videos in the past, you know what those numbers mean, but if not, I'll just give you a quick recap. Basically, every move in Brawlhalla has a certain amount of lag. That is what recover time is. The fixed value, so we see it says 11 fixed and then it's getting changed to 15 fixed, that is how much lag the move has by default. So no matter who you're using, no matter which Chakram character, if there were multiple, it's getting 4 more frames of lag, which is a big deal. On top of that, it's getting an increase in the variable category, so it's moving from 10 to 14. And that you can think of sort of like a multiplier. Variable recovery time or variable lag just depends on your dexterity. So if you have higher dexterity, you're not going to be stuck as long, and if you have lower dexterity, you're going to be stuck longer. If you're still confused, Chakram Downlight in the fused version is going to be laggier, and having higher dexterity on Chakram is not going to help as much as it used to. If that's still confusing, let me know, I can explain it a bit more in the comments. But let's move on to Chakram Split Neutral Air, because this is a massive nerf. Chakram Split Neutral Air. Decreased final stun from a range of 23 to 19 to a range of 16 to 12. So let's break this one down. Stun is what allows you to get combos. You hit somebody and they're stunned for a certain period of time. This is decreasing the stun, which means you're not going to get as many guaranteed combos, by 7 whole frames. This is among the biggest stun nerfs I've ever seen in a decade of Brawlhalla. The reason why it's a range is because if you hit immediately with the Chakram Neutral Air, it's going to have more stun compared to if you only hit with the second one. And the reason for that is to balance it out, because otherwise, if it always had the same amount of stun, you just wait to hit it later and then you get a guaranteed combo for even more. Again, that might be a little bit confusing. If it is, disregard, don't worry about it. Basically, this move is getting a huge nerf. Your opponent now has 7 whole more frames to escape from your combos. And that might not sound like a lot because the game renders at 60 frames in a second. It's a fraction of a second. But keep in mind that a 1 frame change can be the difference between something being a guaranteed combo and something being completely dodgeable. This is 7. Next up, we have the Chakram Fused Down Air. Slightly decrease the amount of loud acceleration in the backwards direction. This means you're less fluid moving backwards while you're using the move. It essentially will make it easier to punish and a little bit more risky to throw out. Descends to the ground during recover time on hit and miss for the far grounded version. So instead of hovering above the ground and ricocheting when you use the Chakram Down Air, now you're gonna fall down to the ground for that grounded version, which makes it a lot less safe. On top of that, they are increasing total recover time on hit for the far grounded version from 8 fixed 7 variable to 12 fixed 7 variable. So now you probably have a little bit of a better sense of what that means. When you hit the Chakram down air on the ground, you are going to be stuck for 4 more frames. I wouldn't say that's a super common case, but it will make it feel a little bit stickier. And now we're moving on to a big one. Chakram split down air. Increase time to hit from 12 to 13. So this means when you press the button, it's going to take 1 more frame to come out. Decrease the amount of allowed acceleration, especially in the backwards direction. This is the same change as the fuse down air one, but probably on steroids based on how they're describing it. Decrease final stun of the aerial version from a range of 17 to 16 to a range of 14 to 13. This is a nerf of 3 frames on the stun and is going to make things like down air into recovery a whole lot harder to connect. Definitely a sizable nerf right here. Increase total recover time on hit for the aerial version from 3 fixed 11 variable to 6 fixed 11 variable. So not only is it gonna deal less stun, 3 frames of less stun, you're also gonna be stuck no matter what when you hit it for 3 frames longer. So you can think of this as when you're landing the down air in the air, your opponent now has 6 frames longer to escape. I was talking all about how the split neutral air has 7 frames of less stun. This effectively has 6 frames of less stun. So 2 attacks getting nerfs of that size, that's pretty wild. Next up, increase total recover time on hit for the far grounded version from 4 fixed 11 variable to 9 fixed 11 variable. So this means when you hit your opponent with the down air on the ground, you're going to be stuck for 5 more frames, which is crazy because the one that I just talked about was 3 more frames. This is an even bigger nerf, and it's when you connect it on the ground. So the past 3 of those are on hit nerfs. They're a big deal that affect the combo game, but what's an even bigger deal oftentimes is an on miss nerf. And this one got those too. So, increase total recover time on miss for the aerial version from 3 fixed 11 variable to 11 fixed 11 variable. A nerf of 8 frames. So when you whiff the Chakram down air in the air, you are stuck for 8 more frames. Keep in mind that the greatsword nerfs in the previous patch, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was 5 frames. And people are like, oh my god, I feel like glue, I feel like I'm stuck, this is the worst weapon in the game now. This is not a 5 frame nerf, this is an 8 frame nerf. So that's pretty huge. But it's not only that. Increase total recover time on miss for the far grounded version from 4 fixed 11 variable to 10 fixed 11 variable. So basically, whether you hit the down air or whether you miss the down air, you are going to be stuck for a lot longer. If you miss it while connecting with the ground, you are stuck for 6 whole frames more. And this one is way more niche, so I've been talking about hitting it in the air, missing it in the air, hitting it on the ground, missing it on the ground. There's actually a third example, which is when you use the down air extremely close to the ground. That one is technically unique from all the other versions. That one also got nerfed. So increase total recover time on miss for the close grounded version from 8 fixed 11 variable to 10 fixed 11 variable. This is a nerf of 2 frames. Comparatively, it's a lot smaller, but if you take a look at the actual recovery times now for all of these different versions, they are way more in line. So it used to be the close grounded version is significantly laggier than everything else. Now everything is basically the same. So if you want to get a sense of how much more lag Chakram down air will have in this week between the update and when it actually goes live, try using Chakram down air really close to the ground and jump as soon as you can. That's about what it's gonna be no matter what kind of down air it is once this patch goes live. And actually, it's still gonna be a little bit more laggy than that. So alright, big nerfs to the down air, big nerfs to the neutral air. What else do we have? Chakram Fused Recovery. Decrease the amount of allowed acceleration in the backwards direction. So this just means, very similar to the ones on the down air, you're not going to be able to steer backward as much as you could previously. Finally, we have the Split Recovery, and this, along with down air and neutral air, were the most oppressive moves in the Chakram's kit. Increase time to hit from 11 to 13. So this means it's going to take 2 frames longer for the move to come out when you hit the button. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you remember that the Chakram neutral air has, 7 frames of less stun, and the Chakram down air has effectively 6 frames of less stun, adding on 2 more on top of that to make the recovery not combo, the windows to escape have been significantly opened up. And talking about significantly, the next note here says significantly reduce the amount of allowed acceleration in the backwards direction. So the previous change just said decreased, this one says significantly reduced. So you have much less freedom in just escaping backwards when you use this recovery. Now these notes are interesting. Greatly reduced travel distance, significantly decreased threat coverage at the rear of the attack, and decreased threat coverage at the other edges of the attack. So this is saying the hitbox is being brought down and it's not gonna go nearly as far. Big nerf there, particularly for it actually being used to recover back to the map. And you might not think about this actively, but when you're getting these early Chakram gimps off the top of the map, a big reason for that is because you're carrying your opponent up with you. If you're no longer traveling as far, however, those are not going to KO nearly as early. This move is not immune to a stun nerf either, as they decrease the final stun from 21 to 17. That's a 4-frame nerf. And finally, increase the recover time on miss from 5 fixed 15 variable to 8 fixed 15 variable. That is a 3-frame nerf to the recovery time. It's going to feel slightly stickier, and overall, these are some pretty significant nerfs on the Chakram. I mean, if I just scroll through this, you can see the exact number of notes for this one weapon in the patch. I think a lot of people will say it's deserved, and it probably is. We'll see exactly what it feels like to play. It's not going to be the same weapon, we can see that right away. But maybe this will be in a healthier state, and if it needs buffs down the line, which is a crazy thing to say right now, I don't think they'll be afraid to change it a little bit. Maybe increase some damage numbers here and there. But this seems a lot healthier because you're not going to be able to throw out move after move after move after move and be as safe as you once were. I still very much hold the opinion that Chakram on release is not as good as Boots and definitely not as good as Greatsword, not even close to Greatsword. But it is good to see BMG have such a quick turnaround on responding to the community's feedback. That's all from me. I'm gonna go back to writing. This documentary is not gonna write itself. I hope y'all are excited for that, and I'll see you in the next one.